Hi, and welcome to Hull and Hull TV. I'm Dana O'Brien, and I'm joined by Ian Hull and Suzana Popovic-Montag, partners at Hull and Hull LLP, an innovative law firm that practices exclusively in estate, trust, and capacity litigation. Here at Hull and Hull TV, we're exploring the issues around estate planning that affect you. Ian and Suzana, we talked about why it's important to have a power of attorney. So let's focus now on how to prevent things from going sideways. Ian, what can go wrong and why?
Well, the power of attorney document, especially in regard to property, is such a broad document. It covers any event except making a will. So the person who holds that document has the power and control to do anything except make a will in most cases. So that brings about lots of problems. It gives opportunities for fights within the family. It gives opportunities for mismanagement of the individual incapable's money. It gives opportunity for any variety of legal issues that touch on everything except a will. So there's lots of room for mistakes and there's lots of rooms for problems.
And that leads to my next question. Suzana, what happens if family members don't agree on who has power of attorney?
Well, there are a number of grounds on which parties can challenge a power of attorney, and if family members don't like that choice that the grantor had made, they can certainly find one. For instance, they could argue that the power of attorney is not a valid document because the person who created it didn't have capacity at the time that it was made, or perhaps they were unduly influenced or pressured in appointing the person that they did. Alternatively, they might choose to challenge the accounts of the attorney or otherwise make the administration by that individual quite difficult. Ultimately, if they really are not happy with the choice, they might take steps to set aside the power of attorney and have someone else appointed in that person's place.
Ian, what happens if someone doesn't keep their attorney up to date on their wishes and expectations?
Well, I think that's a really good question because that is one of the main areas of tension and ultimately litigation or fights if you're not keeping people current. And I find with my clients, I remind them that they need to be checking their whole estate plan probably every 3 to 5 years, just refreshing it. And at that time, you can also look at your power of attorney document. Whether you change it or not, it doesn't really matter. At least it reminds you to sort of change the battery in the smoke alarm. Go back to your attorney and say, listen, just so you know, I've still got you as my attorney, and I want to make sure you understand that I really appreciate you doing this, and here's some more information that you may need to know.
So, Suzana, what should be done in advance to avoid any misunderstandings amongst family members?
Well, we've talked in the past about the importance of communication when we're creating wills, and I think it's no less important when we're preparing powers of attorney. Having these discussions with your family members in advance and telling them of your choice of attorney is really important, because the last thing you want at the end of the day when family is dealing with the onset of someone's incapacity is to have this become a hot button issue.
Ian, we've heard suggestions on avoiding a family fallout. Are there any others?
Well, I think little things like keeping the document at hand, or at least knowing where it is, in a safety deposit box or in the drawer in your dresser. It's funny that we get into fights over with, and we have to get courts involved sometimes releasing the document, and that's no good. I mean, you want this document to be fluid and be accessible. So things like that, making sure that your attorney understands what your parameters of the assets are, so they can understand where to go to, first of all. How am I going to make sure the mortgage payments are going through? How am I going to make sure that I haven't got any sort of outstanding tax liabilities that are getting created? Those sorts of things. So those kinds of discussions, it's communication and it's also understanding the importance of the role.
Communication 101. Ian and Suzana, thank you. And thanks for joining us on Hull and Hull TV.